Hello and welcome to the LCS Dome, powered by Alienware, where our Look Live shots were provided by the gentleman here on the analyst desk. Aerial coverage provided by Mark Z. Cloud9 meeting up with the rest of the org atop the throne to look down. Oh, Mad Dog in the competition as they come in. Look at that. Blabber putting the scare into all of his jungle competition. Licorice where he belongs above the rest. And then, of course, Sven towering over Blabber, the young gun in the jungle.
That's Niski. What do you mean?
Oh, that's Niski? Why would I believe
Niski.
that is Niski? Who's responsible for this drawing, the third one?
That was me. I think they were a little out of order. I had the Niski drawing.
Okay, well, Mark, I'm most disappointed in your showing. There were no identifying characteristics. No identifying characteristics.
Yep. He had the curly-ish kind of hair. I was completely outdone by the other two. They put so much effort in that. I'm blown away.
Yes,
yeah,
kudos.
stick figures are hard to do, you know.
Once you've seen our drawings before, you could actually know who did which. The style is starting to come together.
Yeah, kudos to Crumbs and Prowley for the extra effort on the homework. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers out there. I think that should be said right off the top. We're happy to have you here celebrating with us today. Hopefully we've got some good games in store for you. If we go ahead and take a look at the standings, we're going to see the Cloud9 and Team Liquid. They share the throne of going undefeated into the day. As 100 Thieves and Immortals, they face off, each looking for their first win of the split.
And yeah, I gotta say, Team Liquid this whole time has really impressed me. They came out with a new coach, and obviously after their spring split, they have to have a whole new identity. And so far, their drafts have been looking good. We see Trundle from Jet all the time. I think that's a given. And their identity is starting to come together, where they're able to play around bot some more. And this really has opened up Core JJ, who in spring was not one of the top supports, I'd say. But now he's really making a case for himself. His Blitzcrank and Bard have been great. He's been influencing the whole map. And I mean, I have to say, their games have only been against teams without a positive record. So today they play EG, Friday Night League they play C9. So I'm really curious how they hold up to those kind of higher tier teams.
Well, I thought EG was going to have a battle for the top, right? That's what we thought yesterday was going to be in their game against Cloud9, but they got blown out of the water. It wasn't even close. It's clear that Cloud9 is still a league above the rest, which kind of speaks to how close EG could be with the rest of the competitions, considering that just like Team Liquid, their competition hasn't really been that fierce. In fact, that win they got against CLG, that was a perfect game, was CLG looking at their worst, which, for all we know, when they meet again, that might be a completely different matchup.
Well, Mark, we know that these two have keyed into a couple teams specifically, but what this week do you have your eyes on?
Oh, God, there's this one thing I've noticed that's kind of missing from the LCS. Has anyone seen this? Has anyone seen this guy? I feel like he's kind of MIA.
Is that a new champion?
That's the second highest presence global top laner at 67-ish%. And the next closest is 40. And for some reason, I haven't seen him at all in North America. It's so strange to me that one of the most powerful and popular champions in the world isn't getting played in North America in the top lane. Wow. It's been 9 days since we've seen him in the LCS. I'm just basically waiting until someone realizes that this champion is in the game.
We did pick up the Volibear, though. At least there's that much.
There's that. But I'll take it where I can get it, I guess, with North American top.
At least he's even playing him bottom. They've been playing him with Senna, right? Like they're just fitting Wukong wherever they can.
Well, we'll see if those teams reach for priority on Wukong today. Now, as the weeks go on, we'll be ingesting every single move that these LCS superstars make. And I wanted to check in on the meta that is at the most important in the forefront of everyone's mind, the ever-evolving emote meta.
Yeah, I'm stoked to see what they do with these. I'm curious, like, what kind of loadouts everyone's going for, if it's really evolved, because I like the lane spam. I love the Soraka on fire. Like, you need one to spam in lane, one to spam after a big play, one to spam when you mess up, you know?
Yeah, I think the initial conversation and maybe the surface level emote conversation was just around like the aces and the victory emotes, things like that. But we've now gotten into, all the different decision trees of the emote meta where it can be used more effectively in the 1v1, and I'm glad to see continued experimentation by each of our players.
Yeah,
go ahead.
We've been talking about C9 a lot. I mean, they incepted us, and we all did look lives for them. But yeah, the way Niski's just spam penguin dabbing on them to flex in lane, like, that's a new way to annoy your opponent when they know they're in a bad spot.
There is one, too, that I think seems to be in every single region. It's the KO emote when you use it either when you get a kill or when you're about to destroy the Nexus. That's when you really let them know, hey, you got knocked out. You're sitting down, way down in the standings, and you really feel like Muhammad Ali in his big picture, where you're just like, yeah, look at you, you lost.
Well, this is only the beginnings of a meta that is soon to be as complex as the true League of Legends meta itself. Now, this weekend, we've seen Bjergsen challenge the draft meta by picking up middle sticks in his 2 games this weekend. It just so happens that Kobe's been busting out the scary scarecrow in the jungle. So here's Kobe's guide to the ancient fear as we go into the jungle.
Hello and welcome to the jungle. I am Kobe and I'm going to be talking about Fiddlesticks today. One of my personal favorite jungle champions right now for climbing solo queue ladder. He's risen to the top of the win rates for all junglers in Platinum Plus and Diamond Plus, whatever you want to sort it by, because he brings so much crowd control to the table and AoE damage, plus has added tankiness here with the Bountiful Harvest W Drain. A lot of it has to do with vision control, and a lot of it has to do with the early game here. One of the weaknesses of Fiddlesticks is getting invaded early and trying to keep up in your clear speed time versus some of the power farming junglers that have taken over. One thing you can try and do to combat that is Fiddlesticks does not have to start with a refillable potion, because your W is insane regen, and you can actually start with double control wards. I recommend pretty much always doing this, especially the higher up the ladder that you go. Vision is paramount. You can use them for defensive vision. You can go in and even put your effigies a little bit deeper. And the main thing I want to show here is the difficulty in some of these double drains. So double draining means that you're going to Bountiful Harvest, because it has no limit on the targets that you can actually drain. You can get as many as you want. So you leash the patience bar to max range on the wolves up to here, and the blue buff max range on that patience bar up to here as well. This is the only really tricky spot, because you want to do both of these at the same time. Wolves will die first because they are lower HP. Your blue buff is going to be much higher HP, so it doesn't die in the same amount of Ws, but you save so much time because you're just killing the wolves with the normal amount of W cooldowns that you're going to use. Then you walk over to the Gromp, you leash that, you kill the Gromp and the blue at the same time, and by the time you're done with it, your blue is actually dead, and you've done the same amount of damage, used the same amount of cooldowns as you would normally use on just 2 camps, and you've eliminated an entire camp's worth of time that you would have spent farming. So this is critical in keeping up with a lot of those faster junglers, and why the spot is so important. Yes, if you mess it up, you can cancel your W and walk back. However, if you cancel your W, you lose this 60% refund that it gives you on the cooldown. And that is key, because the whole thing we're doing this for is the cooldown of your W. Like we said, that is everything to you. It's your stain, it's your clear. Now, also, small optimization, you should be using your auto attacks only on the Gromp and only on the Wolf, because those are the things those are your limiting factors. Those are now your bottlenecks for clearing your blue side camp, because the blue buff itself is going to die regardless in the exact same amount of channels that you would have used for 2 camps. So let's do a full reset, because being level 3 would be cheating. I don't want to give you any sort of edge. This would be a red side look if your team gets invaded. Fiddlesticks has to be very flexible with where he starts, depending on your team composition. There are plenty of times where you would actually want to start on the red side, even though blue buff is very important for you and you always want to secure that. I'll start with the 2 control wards. This is incredibly important for later in the game as well, in setting up your ultimates and your E's to make use of the free fear that you get from being out of vision and out of combat for 2.5 seconds. Don't forget that part. And then being able to, fear multiple targets. But here's the spot for the red double clear. And again, you want to use your auto attacks on the higher health target. That's going to die Laster, which is the red buff. And the tree that you want to have as your spot marker, it's way easier than the blue side one. You basically just go up, you auto attack that, you come back, you can use this tree as a visual indicator, and boom, you've done 2 camps. You basically got your raptors for free done while you were spending your time spamming on this red. And this allows Fiddlesticks to get you to your level 6 faster, be the incredible teamfight impact that he needs to be a useful champion much quicker into the game. Also, it's going to help you avoid a lot of those early game pressure that's going to come out of those champions that people use to try and counter Fiddlesticks. maybe I'll do another video on, effigy tricks and standing still and trying to get extra fears that way. But for now, if you have any questions or suggestions or recommendations for, other jungle segments to do or any segments at all, send them to @esports_Kobe, and I will shout you out on Twitter and maybe in the next video. That's going to be it for this one.
Thank you so much, Kobe, for those tips and tricks around jungle sticks. Of course, we've only seen it in the mid lane here in the LCS, and that's courtesy of Bjergsen, but I'm hoping that maybe a couple of the LCS pros tuned into that bit right there from Kobe, picked up a thing or two, and we'll bring it out on stage today. We're going to step away. Don't go anywhere. I get my game show back after this. Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. We're getting ready for Game 1, which has Evil Geniuses facing off against Team Liquid. But more importantly, it's time to welcome back the return of the LCS's greatest game show, Jeopardash. That's right, with Jat out of the lineup, it felt only natural that the baton be passed to the person who had the best record and the highest score in Jat stats of all time. That would be me, naturally. No need to look that up. And so we're back. We've returned with the show, Jeopardash. You gentlemen know how it works. 3 questions are coming your way. The first guy to raise their hand is going to get the opportunity to answer when I call on them. If they get it wrong, the second person with a hand up and who I designate will get a chance to jump in. We'll be keeping score, and the winner is the one who gets the most correct. Here it is, question 1. What? You got questions
Hands
already?
on the table, because I see Crumbs like going like this.
You know where my hands are.
I like that. I like that. We're going to get a little bit of, we'll play by the rules here, gentlemen. Question 1. How many times has a player ended the game with twice as much gold as their lane opponent? The hand is already in the air from Crumbs. Crumbs, what's your answer?
Question, this is an all-time stat?
This is an all-time stat. Sorry, okay, so all-time player has doubled the gold of their opponent, their position opponent.
Okay, 0.
That's wrong. Anyone else? Mark!
7, because there's a lot of supports that probably had this happen at some point.
7 is closer, but also wrong. Probably, what's your thought here?
10.
10, even closer, but still wrong. The answer is 13. The 13th time this happened was just yesterday with Blabber in his game. This has happened 13 times. Crumbs, you will be happy to know that you were the second person to do this in LCS history, and you did it against Nintendo all the way back in 2013, and you were playing Vi, which makes me the happiest person on the planet. All right. How do you feel about that? Did you know you did that?
I've got some good stats from old time, doubling other people's golds, the second perfect game. All right, keep these coming. I'm feeling good.
All right, here's the next question. What is the least number of champions played by a player in a split? Unique champions. Probably was up right away. What do you got for me?
All right, I'm going to say it's either like support or jungle, and the meta was small. I'm going to say like 5.
5 is very, very, very close. And I will also add the addendum that this is a minimum of 18 games played in a split, which is our current split length. Mark, you were second.
6.
6. Wrong direction. Crumbs?
It's lower than 5?
What'd you say, Crumbs? Four is correct, my friend. I gave it away a little bit at the end there, but you are exactly right. It is 4. Let me give you the context on that. Yes, you again. It's happened a couple times, Crumbs. It's happened a couple times, but you are one of those people. My curiosity here is whether or not Blabber will break that record. He's obviously only played Olaf so far. We've kind of seen the trinity of junglers. I'm curious to see when teams will force him off of the Olaf and onto other things, but how few champions can he make it through the split with? Our third and final question is this. When was the last time MASH won an LCS game, and who was it against? Obviously, not counting yesterday's victory, Crumbs. It's not one of those.
I didn't raise my hand.
But you raised your hand, so you must answer. Those are the rules of the game.
TIP, and it was against Energy.
But when?
Whoa, 2016.
A very good guess, and I respect it. Unfortunately, it's not there. Mark, I saw you second. What's your thought?
2015 versus Coast.
You think he hasn't won in 5 years, Mark? How cruel. Probably.
I have no guess because I have no clue where this could be.
Yeah, well, no guess is probably the closest guess. But his last match win came in 2017 summer, Week 8 against Arrow as his opponent. It was Fox versus Phoenix 1. But I wanted to bring this up because MASH had a really solid performance yesterday, subbing in for Wild Turtle, and we had a lot of question marks about that move coming in, but it's great to see him step up with a solid performance with his first time back out on this stage. That's going to do it for Jeopard Dash. We've got to take a quick breather. I'm going to go ahead and call Crumbs the winner because he was the answer to half the questions. When we come back, it's more Countdown.
That was way too hard, dude.
Welcome back to the LCS Countdown. We're hyped to get into our 4 matches of the day. We kick things off with Evil Geniuses aiming to stop Team Liquid's perfect start to the split. Golden Guardians will then face off against Cloud9 in Game 3 with 100 Thieves versus Immortals before the Bud Light League Lounge, where the Tigress, Kobe, and Crumbs will join me for a set of games that pry the deepest, darkest secrets from its participants. And you won't want to miss it. Did you throw in some really deep, dark secrets there, Crumbs? I'm worried mine aren't going to be deep or dark enough.
I don't think I have dark secrets, but they're deep, Dash, and you might think they're yours. They go so deep that you're thinking, was I living his life? Were those things that I did?
All right, well, we're bordering on creepy, but stay tuned to the end of the show, and we'll figure out if we go that far. Ahead of us, we've got Game 1 of the day, and that has Evil Geniuses versus Team Liquid, where both teams came into the weekend undefeated, but only one is going to remain so here. And that's, EG falling yesterday, which caused that.
Yeah, and honestly, TL is going to be a hard beat. I think they're a pretty solid team, especially with their drafts. I spoke about it a little bit more with the Trundle. It's kind of jokey, but realistically, they only had one draft that was pretty questionable where they didn't draft enough Engage, but overall, they've had a pretty solid game plan going into the game, and that's definitely something that's hard to beat right now.
The one caveat I'll throw on for some of this is that they have played relatively easy opponents so far that I haven't felt them tested yet, and they have been able to win off some mistakes by their opponents. You look at the game just yesterday where 100 Thieves was doing a Baron with Kalista. Like, this is a free objective, but for whatever reason, Meteos and Cody somewhere on the same page, and Brock's able to get in there and smite this. Yes, they were winning the game already. Yes, they probably could have chased some of these kills down anyways, but it's still one of those unforced errors that TL has done a good job capitalizing on, but I don't think I've seen them actually force enough on their own compared to some of the other top teams in the league.
Yeah, we covered yesterday as well what was the main one for 100 Thieves, but they have been making a lot of moves that are really positive, like the core JJ roams towards the mid lane, and this was the match against Golden Guardians, where Golden Guardians actually got significantly far ahead in the early game, but once again, with Ocean Soul, if you're not able to win in a team fight later on, it looks like a pretty big draft disadvantage, and that's what happened. Team Liquid was able to just wait the game out and then win the game that way. So against Evil Geniuses, you're thinking, well, their draft hasn't been that drastic in errors, except for yesterday's, where the Kassadin, I think, was quite questionable both in the build and the actual pick itself. But I think EG had a perfect game, which no one has had this split so far, although it's very short, and that really still counts for something, because being able to close out against anybody that quickly is really impressive.
I think EG is a tough team to nail down right now, specifically because of that perfect game to open the split, but then the tough loss to a dominant opponent like Cloud9 just yesterday.
And this was their perfect game where that's exactly where we start for EG after the win 100 Thieves, a 2-0 weekend, and we're thinking, okay, this team might be really amazing, especially since we're thinking that this is the same lineup that had the capacity to contest against Cloud9 in playoffs, right? They got really close, so that's the expectation that we have for them. The biggest surprise, though, I think has been Kumo. He's really been stepping it up, and I know Mark pointed out that this was actually only possible because Licorice E'd the minion away instead of the big bear in front of him.
Yeah, but I still want to give a lot of credit to Kumo. He's been fantastic through 3 games, and he was someone who had a lot of scrutiny on top of him after Kuni was brought in, kind of as almost like warming him up until he's ready to go as a resident. But Kumo's actually making a great case for him to hold on to his position. Picked up Volley Bear, was able to play it very well. He was the lone bright spot in that kind of disappointing loss to C9. He also, like we saw, had that game on Poppy. That was the perfect game. And against Someday, he held his own, was actually going to big CS advantage. So I think Kumo has been incredible so far through the first 3 games.
So probably where do we place the blame then, if not on Kumo, for EG's loss?
I mean, I talk up Jizuke all the time, so I'm very comfortable saying, Jizuke, you done messed up in that C9 game. I'm not going to debate the Kassadin pick too much because I'm sure they had some thoughts behind it. Niski's a roamer. He doesn't normally punish lane as hard as he did in the other game. But with Kassadin, you have so many choices to be defensive in lane to survive because that's your goal. You want to get to the late game with Kassadin. But he didn't take the fleet footwork, which is very common. He didn't take resolve secondary, which is another bonus, kind of regen spec that you can go. And he also didn't take the Doran shield, which is a very popular item, especially against someone who has constant harass like Karma. So this is a big problem that I saw yesterday. And not to mention his greedy believer tendencies kind of crept up where he wanted to get some extra CS and just died with his Rift Walk up in front of Licorice and Blabber is a little sad to see the dreamer get shot down.
Mark, he's no longer just a dreamer, he's now a believer. He believes he can accomplish everything he dreams
I guess it's
up.
Steps to it. First, you got to dream up the play. Then you got to believe you can execute it.
Well,
then you actually have to.
That's what happened to him in spring, right? At first, it was like, "Whoa, what are all these plays? We're not too sure." But eventually, he started getting those down, and we're like, "Yeah, keep thinking about those plays because nobody else is able to pull them off."
We became believers at that point. Let's expand this conversation then, kind of around the mid lane. If maybe the ball was dropped a little bit by Jizuke, let's hone in on the mid jungle matchup between these two squads. You've got, of course, Svenskeren and Jizuke on one side, a powerhouse duo, but Broxa and Jensen seem to be finding a bit of a footing here in summer where that was lacking in spring.
I think...
Go ahead.
Mark first.
All right, I think Trundle, which we've been talking about a lot, that has been kind of the staple for TL. Finally seeing him on Graves was great for Broxa, but I still haven't seen a ton of Jensen roaming around or anything like that, which is what some of us were looking for. But I think Jensen historically has been pretty resource heavy, and he's been able to use those well. So I don't think they need to try and change up their style too much. We've talked about Core JJ going mid and the level 1s all supporting him. And so it's fine to let Broxa and I think Jensen be a little bit separate. Let Broxa run around the map where he thinks it's best to go rather than tunneling on Jensen in the early game, quite like EG does with Jizuke.
Probably got a follow-up to that?
I mean, I agree with Mark. I think it's not too much mid-jungle on TL side. If anything, it's mid-support, because we see Core JJ helping out mid lane every single game so far. He's just cheesing it with either Bar W or he's hooking the Azir. He's really annoying, and I think he's helped Jensen more than Broxa so far.
All right, well, you did just kind of give me a sense of what you might expect out of Team Liquid there probably, but I'm going to flip the tables on you for win conditions, and I'm going to put you in charge of Evil Geniuses. What do you got for me?
All right, so if I'm playing against TL, since I know them so well, I'm going to go ahead and say, I want to counter pick for Sven. I think the way Brox got exploited by Closer was really punishing to TL's early game, and they almost lost. I think Svenskeren is playing really on form, and he's actually able to play these counter pick jungles like the Kindred, like the Graves, or the Nidalee. So I'm excited to see that. And then so far, Core JJ has only been playing Playmaker's bot, and Zeyzal's only been playing range supports. If EG can sucker TL into playing their style and do a range matchup bot, I think they're going to be able to take a lot of edge away from Core JJ.
All right, and Crumbs, you're the man for Team Liquid.
I'm already feeling good if EG's going to stick to those win conditions, because I think what Team Liquid needs to do is it's based on the week of scrims and how confident they are. So if they're feeling really good, pinch that Twisted Fate again. It looked really solid. It's a very powerful pick in the meta right now. And if you're going to go with those range supports in the bottom lane, you can just pick a lot of crowd control in your side lanes and split push to win. If EG wants a team fight, split push is a way to tear that apart. However, if you're not feeling too great about it, well, go back to the Trundle and the Graves and just pick to outscale. It's worked twice against opponents that were not able to cleanly close out the game, and it's the motto for Team Liquid this split, which is just slow and steady. Once they understand that, hey, if we just keep holding on to our resources right now, we're going to win the game, they're not really letting your opponent call out back into the match.
Well, those are the thoughts from our analysts on how each of these teams can navigate to victory. This would now typically be the time where I test the mettle of the three of you and your predictions for the day. But as it is Father's Day, we'll do it by proxy. So each of our LCS fathers threw in their predictions across the broadcast team. And here they are now. You can see the major differences coming in Game 1 with an even split. 3 dads for TL and 3 dads for EG. And then Azale's father, the only one to come in hot with a hot take in Game 4 of the day between the 0-3 team's Immortals prediction. Come on!
I'm glad my dad went pretty safe. I actually disagree with him on the first game about EG, and he was like, they're the favorite, right? And I was like, maybe.
Oh wait, you're not supposed to give them tips.
I didn't give him tips. I disagreed. And
Mark, you're saying you would have predicted EG?
Yeah, I would have predicted EG, but I totally respect my dad. He'll probably be right, so I'm good with it.
Yeah. I'm all in with my dad there. Team Liquid on the top of the day, and he aligns with yours. So Mark and my dad are tethered together in their fates, and then Crumbs and Prolly, looks like the two of yours are as well. So that first game will be the decider, unless Azale's dad does be proven right in the fourth game of the day. And guess what? There's a prize on the line here. A lot of times we do a weekly wager with the punishment, but we want to celebrate our dads here at the LCS. So this quality 100% polyester tie with hand-stitched embroidered design that lets everyone know, hey, there goes the world's #1 dad. These works of art are made to last. And there's 2 of them. It's a set. You got your tie for the black tie events, and then your more casual #1 dad in the blue, the shiny blue.
That's going to look really good in my free will donation box.
What? You're not shipping that to your father if he wins it, Crumbs? That's so rude.
I'm keeping in mind for me, for cat dad, because I have my cats running around all the time.
There it is. Yeah, you're #1 cat dad. See, there it is. Perfect. All right, well, the games are just about ready, so it's time for us to hand it over to Riv and Kobe for game #1.